Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look into the all-new Garmin Forerunner 265, a sports watch primarily designed for runners, though it supports a wide variety of other outdoor activities. And it is packed with features that will appeal to both hardcore athletes and casual users as well, with downloadable music support, dual band GPS, an extremely accurate heart rate sensor, and most noticeable of all, a brand new fantastic looking bright and colorful AMOLED display. The Garmin Forerunner 265 just may be my favorite sports watch of 2023. And if you're a fan of sports watches or just appreciate unbiased reviews that get right to the point without wasting your time, consider liking this video or even perhaps subscribing to Connect the Watts if you want to see more videos just like this. Alright, so let's dig in first into this new design. First off, there are two size options available here. The first being the regular Forerunner 265, which has a 46mm display, and a smaller version called the Forerunner 265S, which houses a slightly smaller 42mm display. And the display here is really the big upgrade and standout feature of this watch. See, most feature a memory in pixel or MIP display, which while that does look great while outdoors, it doesn't look so great indoors. Now, the main reason for having a display like this is the benefit in power savings, which is how Garmin makes some watches like their Enduro 2 have absurd battery lives lasting over 1 month. Now with the Forerunner 265, Garmin has switched over to a bright and colorful AMOLED display, which is what many popular watches like the Apple Watch and even some of Garmin's other watches like the Epics use. And the display here looks great. Even on the lowest settings, it stands out clear as day and just really pops with its use of bright colors within all of its various widgets and menus. Even the Garmin Epics does not look anywhere near as good as this. And while the battery life does take a bit of a hit here with the AMOLED display, it is still pretty darn good. Garmin says that it should last up to 13 days with regular use and up to 5 days if you turn on the always on display and use it more intensively. And I actually think that the battery life is even slightly better than what Garmin says, as I was generally able to go over 6 days with the always on display and using the dual band GPS setting, which takes a lot more battery power than just the standard single band GPS. So a very good battery, especially when considering the display here. Alongside this display are easily some of the best watch faces that Garmin has ever released. I really like the look of many that came with the watch, and you can download a ton more made by others via the Garmin Connect IQ app, many of which are free. So I had a hard time sticking to just one watch face and ended up just switching it up all the time. Now, as with most Garmin sports watches, the Forerunner utilizes a 5-button layout in addition to a touchscreen. Both the buttons and screen are very quick and responsive, and one of the great things about Garmin is that unlike other watches, like the Apple Watch for example, whatever that you can do with the touchscreen, you can also do with the buttons. So you aren't forced to just use a touchscreen if you don't want to, which can be especially important in scenarios where you are really sweaty or you're wearing gloves. You also have the ability to create numerous customizable shortcuts, which makes it very easy and convenient to quickly access your most frequently used functions. The Garmin Forerunner 265 is also very light, coming in at just 47 grams, which makes it feel much less noticeable while wearing it. It is water resistant up to 50 meters, making it perfect for swimming and showering, but probably not ideal for more intense water sports. And the silicone strap that is included is very comfortable and stretchy and fairly nice looking, but can also be replaced with any other 22mm bands very easily. Now the big warning here is that the display and lightweight design do have a few drawbacks when it comes to this watch's durability and toughness. See, at $450, the 265 has many of the same features and capabilities of Garmin's more expensive sports watches, which we'll discuss more in depth in just a minute. But a big reason why it has a lower price is due to the materials it is made from. So instead of being built from stainless steel or titanium, the 265 is made from a plastic composite, and this lens is actually made from Gorilla Glass, which, while still being scratch resistant, is going to be much more likely to get beat up in harsh conditions compared to some of the other watches which feature a sapphire lens. Also to mention, the Forerunner 265 does not support ECG readings, as a metal casing would be required to have that feature. So if you're really taking your watches and roughing them up quite a bit, you probably don't want to save money by going with this 265, and you're probably better suited by going with something else. But I don't think that is going to be the majority of runners, and I think this type of less rugged watch design is going to be attractive for many of us. Now in terms of features, the Garmin Forerunner 265 is packed with just so many options, some of which are just okay, but many of which I have found to be extremely useful. And I can't possibly go over every single feature here, as that would take up a lot of time, but here are some of the big standouts. First, you have your morning report, which you get first thing every morning, and this includes information like the new training readiness score, which takes into account your sleep, HRV, training volume, resting heart rate, and more to give you an easy to understand number to help you get a sense of how ready you are for another difficult workout. It then will show you a variety of additional information and a breakdown of these various metrics, and all of this can be customized to fit what you find important to see every morning. Now, sleep tracking and HRV, or heart rate variability, are pretty decently tracked here, but as is the case with all of Garmin's sports watches, they aren't the best. Sleep tracking seems to be a bit behind in accuracy compared to others like the Apple Watch and Aura, and HRV is, well, only in the ballpark and tends to miss a lot of the daily fluctuations, which is why I think they try to emphasize the 7-day average over your daily HRV score, which is still definitely very useful to analyze your behaviors, habits, and training over longer periods of time, but not quite as useful when trying to make day-to-day decisions. You can also utilize what Garmin calls their body battery feature to get a sense of your work to recovery status. You can of course track your steps, and a cool feature that I really like is the health snapshot, which takes about 2 minutes and will capture your heart rate, blood oxygen, breathing rate, stress response, and HRV at any time that you would like. And honestly, when you take your HRV status this way, when you first wake up, it gives you a much more accurate and useful daily score, but unfortunately, there is no setting to override your general HRV tracking when you capture it this way. You can also check out your VO2 max, get a weather forecast, get updates and notifications from your phone, all of which can be customized so you can pick exactly which notifications you get, or you can just turn it all off altogether. And if you have an Android phone, you can even send text back with the Forerunner 265. Unfortunately, Apple does not allow this on non-Apple watches though. And one great feature about the Garmin Forerunner 265 is that not only can you control the music on your phone with it, but you can also download music and podcasts directly onto the watch itself via Spotify and a variety of other music players, so that you don't always have to bring your phone with you should you just want to leave without it when working out. While the Garmin Forerunner 265 is primarily geared towards runners, it does offer a pretty large variety of sports profiles, from biking to swimming, skiing, snowboarding, strength, yoga, and even breathwork tracking, which you can choose from several techniques to be guided through. And all these sports profiles can be fully customized on both the watch as well as the app, and this customization is very extensive. For each sports profile, not only can you have a different set of data screens, of which there are a ton of layouts and dozens upon dozens of available metrics to choose from, but you can also customize alerts to be notified if you hit a certain heart rate or pace or distance or other option. You can also set up various types of auto laps, enable auto pause if you stop moving, and the list just goes on and on and on. For example, on my treadmill sports profile, I set it to broadcast my heart rate so that I can see my heart rate on the screen while I run. Now, while there are a ton of training features to choose from, there are a few missing that you will see on some of Garmin's other more expensive watches, most significant of which is maps and routing. Now, you can add routes to the Forerunner 265 and it works well to keep you on track, but you won't be able to see a full map or topography of the area around you. So for those who like to adventure out a bit, like trail runners or even dedicated hikers, you may want to spend a little bit more money and forego the nice looking display to get access to those internal maps. Now, in terms of accuracy, the Garmin Forerunner 265 is pretty close to as good as it gets. I compared the heart rate tracking to a Polar H10 chest strap, and this watch stays accurate alongside it at almost all times. Even compared to other great heart rate tracking sports watches like the Apple Watch Ultra, Polar, Coros, and even many of the other Garmin watches with older sensors, this ended up being one of the most accurate sports watches that I have ever tested. The GPS accuracy was equally great. With the dual band support, I found the tracking to be pretty spot on for almost every single run that I I did. And again, compared to other sports watches, either matched or beat every single one of them, even those that were a lot more expensive than this. So it really passed the accuracy test with flying colors. And so if accuracy is important to you, the 265 is definitely a solid choice. So who is it for? Well, all things considered, the price included, I think the Garmin Forerunner 265 may be one of the best, if not the best new sports watch released this year, particularly for runners who don't need that full map support. So if you mostly run on the street and don't go and beat it up all the time in the mountains, trail running, then this is just a really good choice, especially with the numerous features, the downloadable music support, the full level of customization, and just its overall look and design. I am a big fan, and if you want to see more about Garmin's other higher end sports watches and how they compare to the Apple Watch Ultra, make sure to watch this video here. As always, this is Colin with Connect the Watts. Appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next time.